Hello, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Good noon, ma'am. Like we have just technical issue, so yeah, I think it is got solved. Yeah. Hello.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was able to hear you on that.
Yes. Yes.
Right. Good.
Yeah, ma'am. Can we wait for 5 more minutes, please, because participants are joining.
Yeah, no issues, no issues. Just let me
Thank
know.
you. Yeah. Thank you.
In the meantime, can I ask you to, if possible, to create a few breakout rooms?
Yeah, ma'am. Definitely, it's possible.
So how many participants are we expecting?
Actually, 30 participants overall, like, minimum of 20 will join. So we can
Okay.
create breakout rooms, not an issue, ma'am.
Yeah, if you can create like 4 or 5 breakout rooms, we can put most of them into that. I don't want to make it too much of a lecture kind of thing because that's not
We know it, ma'am. So, no problem, ma'am. I'll create that. No problem. Not an issue.
So, by the way, I have with me Mr. Anil Singh, who is the AGM of AIC BIMTech. So, he's also joining in the program with us.
Hello,
Hello,
ma'am.
sir.
Thank you, ma'am, for opportunity. Good afternoon, everyone.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name. What's your name?
Ma'am, my name is Shahin, ma'am. Shahin.
Shaheen.
Actually,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
a fellow
Okay.
here in Atal Incubation Center, and
Okay.
it's my absolute pleasure to meet you because my entrepreneurial journey started with your program in Upgrade. So it's I was the moment I saw you, I was in wow, ma'am is the session speaker today. So it's my absolute pleasure. So we'll have a wonderful session, ma'am.
Thank you, Shaheen. I'm delighted to meet you. And let's meet offline also one of these days.
Sure, ma'am. Sure, ma'am.
So
Yes.
just let me know as soon as the
Yeah, yeah. Just
participants
yeah,
join.
yeah. 2 minutes.
Please do not go into the breakout rooms right now. So those who have joined the breakout rooms, please come back to the main session. I'll let people know. And Shaheen, it would be great if you could also give me co-hosting, right? So that when they
Yes, I'm giving it to you, ma'am. Just a second.
Great. So when that happens, I can keep moving between the rooms.
That's great. Like I'm doing it right away.
Those who have gone, just ask them to come back into the main session.
Yes. Yes. Yes, I have made you co-host, ma'am. Like you just. Ma'am, have they all come back to this breakout rooms? Like because they are not visible and people are asking me to admit. So, but they are not visible to me. Are they visible to you?
They are not there in the breakout rooms. I cannot see anybody in the breakout rooms.
Okay. Fine.
So only Anil is there. I think Anil is, and I'll move him, Anil and Madhu ready. So I'll move them to the main room.
Okay. Fine. Can we go ahead, ma'am? Like, because they will join in the meanwhile, so why to waste time? We'll just go ahead and start the session.
Okay, I think that's better.
Yes, yes.
We have just...
Yes. Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's session, Scouting and Validating the Ideas by Dr. Abha Rishi. It's my absolute pleasure to introduce you, ma'am, first of all. So I'm so excited, so you can understand by my face. So today, like, I'll just give some key highlights about what ma'am is and what her work is, because, like, you know, it is very big profile and it will take 1 hour time to read her profile itself. But like in 2 to 3 minutes, I'll finish it off. Dr. Abha Rishi is CEO of Atal Incubation Center, BIMTech, is also a chairperson of the Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship Development at the Birla Institute of Management Technology, and she is also a senior faculty there. She has 27 years of experience in industry and academia. She is a PhD and an EEC honors from STVP, Stanford University, PGDIBO, MTF and MIB. Her passion and focus is students and women entrepreneurship. And she has mentored more than 1,000 women and student entrepreneurship. She has been conferred the following awards. Ma'am, there are many awards, but I'm only taking the recent awards in 21 and 20. So she has conferred an award, the Global Women in Leadership Award 2021 by the Global Council for Promotion of International Trade on March 8, 2021. And she has been also conferred National Leadership Award 2020 by Confederation of Indian Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises and Center of Excellence for Innovation, Incubation and Entrepreneurship. She is one of the few Indians to hold both a Chevening, that is CRISP 2014 Scholar, SET Business School, University of Oxford, and a Fulbright Scholarship, Rutgers University, Newark, USA for 2009 and 10. So this is a little intro about Dr. Abha Rishi. Ma'am, the house is open. Please go ahead and take the session and give insights, and we are eager to listen to you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shaheen, for that beautiful introduction. I mean, that it's really nice of you. So I'm just going to start off with a few questions to the people out here. I know some of you might be camera shy. That's why you have the cameras off, but maybe you can let me know a few things about you. First of all, I'd like to know how many of you are faculty in this. So you can just raise your hands or let me know on the chat, whatever works for you. How many of you in this room are faculty? So can you just respond back? Okay, so I have one person who has raised the hand, Akhleshwari. Manikanta is also, so 2 faculties, the rest of you? Come on, I mean, see, the thing is that any session, it is of use to you only if there is interaction between us. Otherwise, there's going to be hardly any learning. I can give a lecture, you will listen with half your mind, and then you'll forget about it. So yes, instead of that, you're here for 1.5 hours. I'm here for 1.5 hours. Let's make the most of this. So do answer these questions. And I'll tell you the reason also why I'm asking this question. So if you can let me know how many of you are faculty. So 2 people have said they're faculty. The rest of you, are you faculty or are you non-teaching? Come on. So how many of you are non-teaching? So we have 15 people. So discounting me and Anil, out of the rest 13, how many of you are non-faculty? At least answer this. Come on, guys. I mean, this is not great. So if you do like this, then I'll start doing the way I do with my students. I'll start calling out names. Does that work for you? So if you don't want me to call out names, just put on the reactions. So are you faculty? Say yes or no. Shaheen? Shaheen, are you there?
I'm here, ma'am. I'm listening.
Okay. So Shaheen, what I'm going to call out people's names. I hope.
Please do. It is really a pleasure to be called by name, ma'am.
even if they hate me for this, I'm going to do this. So you will know how many of them are actually listening in. So I'm going to start with the Puli. So Puli Pratisha, are you there?
Ma'am, one request. There are participants waiting. So can you please admit them, because it is not possible for me here.
Okay.
Or else, like, I'll give you the co-hosting after admitting all of them.
So give me the co-host. I'm going to admit all of them. I've just said admit all.
Yeah.
People have joined in. But give me the co-host rights. Keep the hosting rights to yourself. Because when I'm in the session, I may not be able to.
I have given the session. I mean, I have given the right, co-hosting right. You are a host now.
Okay. So again, I'm going to be those who have joined in later. So if you could let me know how many of you are faculty, just raise your hands. Say yes or whatever in the chat. If you want to say yes, say that. And I'm telling you, there's a reason for this. So today, if I'm on this side and you're on that side, I want you to become more like me, and how you can become that is what I want to take you through this. So this is not just a simple ideation session. This is more about the idea of you becoming somebody who is reached out to by people, right? So for that, I'm going to need a few answers. So Akhileshwari has again said yes. I don't know who is there and why, but if you can change your name, wonderful. I mean, that would be great. And for the rest of you, you're non-teaching faculty. So I have 3 people who have said they're faculty. So the rest of you are non-teaching faculty. Am I right?
all of them are faculty members, ma'am.
All of them are faculty members. Yes. Then I'm surprised that they are not responding back. If you as faculty don't respond back, think about how the students feel when they are on that side, or you yourself as faculty have taken sessions. So you'd see that if there is no interaction, what happens, right? So if any of you are brave enough to open your cameras, I'd love to see your faces and interact with you more directly. If not, I mean, if you're more comfortable having the camera switched off, it's perfectly fine. Thank you, Rahul, for raising your hand. That's absolutely fine. Great to know that you're a faculty. See, thanks, Manikanta. I mean, absolutely great. Nice to see your faces. And this is an afternoon session. We need to have that energy coming in, right? Otherwise, it's going to be boring. So there's a reason why I asked how many of your faculty, because what's happening across the country is many faculty have been pushed into this entrepreneurship area, whether it is their interest or not. So I'm going to ask you again to reply me back privately if you want to, or on a reply all if you're okay with that. This is by choice or by management degree. So if you have taken up this field of entrepreneurship by your own choice, just write back by choice. If not, just leave it. So I'll come to know like how many of you have gone into this by choice. Great, Rahul. That's wonderful to know that it has been your choice. Manikanta has also said it's purely your choice. Wonderful. That's really great. Because then the way you grow, if it's your own choice, is much faster and much accelerator as compared to if it's by management degree. So yeah. Great. So from who I also it has come in, management decision, but later turned into my choice. Wonderful. So let me tell you a little bit about my story, and then you'll realize that how, what will I call it, how good it is to have that passion. And even if it's by management degree, how you as faculty can gain. Normally what happens is that entrepreneurship, or this area of entrepreneurship, and this whole idea about e-cells and incubation centers are pushed onto faculty, whether they like it or not. but how can you gain? Don't take this as an extra work. Let me tell you, when I started in this area in 2006, it was a choice given to us. There were 4 of us faculty members who were given this by management decree. And like Manikandan said, it was actually given to us by management decree that go ahead and work on this. 2006. But somehow it turned into an interest for me. And in that interest, I started writing, collecting data about startups, how are they working on, what are the challenges? And then I started looking at women entrepreneurs and I started writing on that. What happened with that? Because I started writing on that research papers, I got selected for my Fulbright scholarship in USA. Now, a Fulbright scholarship means that you got completely funded. Your airfare is taken care of, to and fro, your stay there is taken care of, and on top of that, they pay you something like $2,000 at that time. I'm saying 2006 per month as you're spending money, right? And that helped me write more research papers. I got published more. And because of that, I was contacted by Upgrad. Upgrad was at that time just setting up. And Upgrad took my videos, and even now, if you go into Startup India, you will see a lot of my videos.
Yes.
So that is how the thing started. Came into it by management decree, became my choice, started working on creating research papers, found out some of the startups who were interesting, started writing case studies on that. And because of that, like I said, I got the Fulbright scholarship, Fulbright led to Upgrad, Upgrad led to Chevening. So this Chevening scholarship is again from the British High Commission to study in the University of Oxford.
We are unable to hear you.
So all these things.
Your connection was interrupted for 30 seconds.
Okay, so is it better now?
Yes.
Yes.
Maybe, I mean, that's something that you have to deal with when it comes to internet and other things. So like I said, Upgrad, then Chevening, like I said, British High Commission, fully funded, everything taken care of by the University of Oxford. And from there on, the growth has been like up. So that's why I said that if you're faculty and if you have this interest, there are lots of avenues open to you. And it's not just about ideation. Don't think about entrepreneurship or all these things, processes as being boring. See where you can add value and where you can get value, right? So maybe you might have come across some good startups. So have you tried writing case studies on them? So if not, start thinking now. And as a faculty, I know it can be difficult, but then ready to help you in many of these things, whichever is there. So coming on to what the whole process of ideations. This time, I'm not going to do the lecturing part of it. I'm going to ask you one thing. Have all of you heard about the animal called cow? Or should I put it like, is there anybody who has not heard about the animal called cow? Yes or no? So you have all heard about the animal called cow. So I'm going to put you into your rooms, or you're going to go into your breakout rooms for exactly 6 minutes. And you're going to come back with what can you do to create money from a cow. And this should not have anything to do with dairy farming. Okay. So nothing to do with the what do you call, the gobar, the shit which is there, or the urine which is there, and nothing to do with milk. Okay. What else can you do with the cow to create money? So you get exactly 6 minutes, and the team which gives the best ideas, I've got something at the end of the session for you. So let me put it
wow,
like
it's exciting. It's nice. Please utilize this opportunity.
Right. So all of you into your breakout rooms. So quickly, 5 minutes. What is it? Discuss and come back and tell me, like, what can you do with a cow? So Shaheen?
Yes, ma'am. Done.
Everybody into there. Rooms.
Please join your respective rooms.
And I'll increase the time limit by 2 minutes more. So just quickly
Yeah.
go into your rooms. And
We have been not assigned any room, ma'am.
no, I'm giving you breakout rooms. You're in the main session room right now. So go into the breakout rooms, discuss with your group, and come back with an idea. 1, 2, as many people as many ideas as you want, but interesting ones which can be turned into business ventures or not. I'm leaving that open. That we'll talk about later when we talk about how to make sure the idea that you have can be made into a business venture or not. Right now, anything and everything under the sun, except not to do with dairy, not to do with cow urine, and not to do with cow shit. So are you able to go into your rooms?
No, I think.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Okay, Shaheen, you need to help me out here. So
Yes,
there are
I
9.
mean, you can do it better because it's not visible. I made you co-host, so like the rights are with you to send them to the breakout rooms, ma'am.
Okay, so I'm going to assign them.
Yeah.
So all of you have got your assignments. You need to join your rooms. Anil, have you got your room?
No, ma'am. Not as
It has
yet.
been assigned. Has been assigned. Please check again.
Okay, sure.
Showing
Join
that you have all
breakout
been
room.
assigned.
Yes,
rooms.
please. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so Manikanta, you have been assigned the room?
No,
You're in
ma'am.
room number 2. You're in room number 2.
I didn't find an option, ma'am. That's the problem.
So Mallikarjuna, you have been assigned the room. You're in room number 1. Please join in. Chandana, you're in room number 1. Please join in soon. Puli, you have also been given a room. Okay. So now I'm going to please join your rooms. The rooms have already been given to you. Please join the rooms. Madhu? Madhu, you're in room number 4. Please join in. So Shaheen, if you want to join with any of the rooms, you can do that. I mean, you can also enjoy the discussions and everything.
Can you allow me to join any group except room 1? I couldn't able to join any other breakout room, ma'am. Can you give me permission to join any other room except group room 1? I couldn't join.
We have a few people waiting in the breakout rooms. So did you not get any room? People who are here?
It's not like them, ma'am. Like you have allotted me room 1, but like no one has joined. So maybe that is a similar issue that they might be facing, or just
Why have they not joined?
no. That is why like I'm just keep on repeating this. So they haven't joined again. Let me.
Okay, I mean, that's so funny. You know what? I'll give you post rights rather than keep it with myself because people need to respond. Otherwise, it's not going to be any fun.
Ma'am, actually, in my display, the host has opened breakout rooms. Please wait to be assigned. So I'm still waiting. So
Alright,
I didn't find an option. That's why.
You are Manikanda. You have been okay. So let me reassign you.
Yes, yes.
Shall I put you into room number 1? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. As you. Yes.
So
Now.
into room number 2 and assign to room number 2. Ajay, Professor Ajay, are you there? I am not seeing anybody who is. Why are you people? Okay. Let me now read this again. So, this I'm going to put you into room number 2. Have you received the invite, Puli? Is it Puli Pratisha or Pratisha? Pratisha, have you received the invite to go to room number 2? And Madhu, I'm moving you to room number 1. Okay. Please join into the room number 1. Have you received the invite? If not, please unmute and let me know. Shantala. Shantala, are you there? Please move to room number 4.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Number 4. Just click on breakout
Okay,
rooms to find the details. Ajay. Okay. So who are the people who have not yet received any invite? Ajay, have you received the invite? Ajay? Sorry. Okay. So some of you are getting back. Any ideas which have come from this? How to use a cow to make money?
Ma'am, to sell the cows with some margin. You purchase the cows from other vendors and to sell to some others, taking some margin.
Okay. So just sell the cow. Forget about it. Just sell it across. No more headache.
No more. And also, if required, we can go with cow meat, whatever.
Okay. So I think all of you have joined. Great. So anybody other than Dr. Rahul who wants to give an idea? So Dr. Rahul has said, sell the cows. That's it. Forget about everything else. Sell the cow, get the money. That's it. Done. Okay. Anybody else?
Okay, so we come up with Dr. Farooq and me and Miss Sanata, who was there in a group, and we come up with 3 ideas which we can discuss. I think first one, best breed milk cows which we can export to other countries and we can generate foreign exchange in India, as Dr. Rahul says. And second thing, like sweet business, we can do. Everybody loves sweets, either any part of the world. We can do sweet business. And third one, like all the cosmetic products and soap companies are promoting cow milk can be used for soap and creams and so we can create some product for these cosmetic products. We can use cow's milk. Yeah, there's these 3 ideas.
Okay. Nice. So any other group which wants to talk about?
Yes, me and Manikanta, I think. So Manikanta, please go ahead.
Yeah. Actually, ma'am, again, I want to tell you about myself because I'm a city brought up guy. So I don't know exactly what only the thing is we can use their milk and so you can use it like it. But honestly, I got to know. I mean, I've seen some videos on Shark Tank, so I'm a big fan of Shark Tank India. So there's some people from Kerala. They've given an idea, so they just put some earpiece, and that piece will monitor the health of the cattle and all those things, and the reproductive system and all those things. It is interconnected with IoT, and the farmers will get mobile device, and they will monitor all the health cycles and reproductive system and all those things. And according to that, they will cater the milk, and they will immediately, if anything goes wrong to the particular cows and cattle, they immediately go to the medical assistance or something. So that will eventually increase the productivity of finally again the dairy products.
Right. Good. So anybody else? Okay. Now see I'll just give 10 seconds. Anybody wants to jump in? You're most welcome. Akhileshwari, I think you opened your mic. Would you like to join in? Go ahead.
Yeah, ma'am, I have an idea. I'm basically doing PhD, madam, so I don't have any idea. My idea is like taking a farmland, growing aloe vera plants. We don't need much effort in growing that aloe vera plants, and these aloe vera plants can be used for medicines and also like cosmetics, like this, ma'am.
Okay.
And we can export for that.
Okay, so Akhileshwari, basically we were talking like how to use a cow, but that's okay. Aloe vera is also perfect. So the idea behind you people doing this simple exercise was everybody knows a cow, but how to utilize it in different manners was the question. And if you see, some of you came back with some interesting ones, but others came back with the traditional things. Now, if I tell you that you can use a cow as a walking advertisement, there are so many cows walking across the places. Get in touch with the dairy farm, put your details on the two sides of the cow. That is one way you can make money if you have a dairy farm. Second, there are different cow races which are there. You have the bull races. Similarly, in some parts of the world, you also have cow races. That is one way you can make money. Betting, anybody like with drinking, anybody who drinks will find an excuse to drink. Similarly, anybody who bets will find an excuse to bet. It doesn't have to be anything very specific. So similarly, you can think about this. Third, there is a game called cow tipping, which is pretty famous in the Texas region of US. What it means is that you have a cow. If you have ever tried pushing a cow, you would know how difficult it is to push a cow over. Next time you see a cow, try that. Try pushing the cow. Okay. So it's very difficult. And there is a game which actually goes into this, that how many cows can you push over within a few seconds or within a minute. So again, a way in which you can create money. Cow hides, of course, everybody talks about it. It's made into leather. But how can that leather be further utilized for many other things than just shoes? So there are many, many methods. Even just, like pictures of cows taken in a nice way, sell as non-fungible tokens now. So that's a new way of getting money. The only thing is you have to start thinking, right? And that's what I wanted you to do. So similarly, when you get students to think about ideas, first of all, make them feel that this whole thing is not so serious, because you need to get them into that thought process. And you can do by doing this kind of silly exercises. It sounds silly, but how do you make them start thinking in a different manner? Even if I ask this question, how can you make money out of a rock? Some people might say you can throw it. It can become a big missile. But if I told you that a rock painted nicely is sold as a pet in some of the Asian countries, and each rock costs something like $10 to $25 based on what is painted on it. A rock becomes a pet, and the accessories around it, just like you have the Barbie doll, the accessories around it are a huge market. So they create a nest for it, they create a water bath for it, they create like a shampoo for it, so how you can bathe the rock pet. Go online and just put this rock pet, and you will see it's actually a thriving business. So business and ideation doesn't have to be those usually thought out frameworks. Nowadays, there are opportunities for more. But let me stop here for a second and ask, like, have you ever thought of anything like this before?
No, ma'am.
Which is, so that's the first thing when you talk about ideation, and you also talk about lead generation, idea generation. When you talk about, you need to have the students start thinking. Unfortunately, our curriculum, which is there, our educational curriculum doesn't allow much thinking in different areas. So this is where you as faculty can start doing that, right? So next comes the second one. Where do you do idea validation? So you might get hundreds of ideas from different students, but not all ideas are going to become good business ventures. So how do you find out which of these should be encouraged under the e-cell or in the incubation center? Because ultimately you as a faculty want to help those students where the creation of a venture is going to be there. You don't want to spend your time and efforts with all the things. You want to focus on the good ones which can create money. So how do you find out whether something is going to create money or not? Anybody from here who has any idea? How will you filter that particular idea that this is going to make money? How are you going to do that? What do you think should be the first criteria? Anybody? What do you think should be the first criteria?
Innovation.
This idea is going to work. Please, Rahul.
Innovation.
Pardon?
How the idea is different from others. How innovative is the idea?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. Can you repeat that?
How innovative is the idea?
How innovative is the idea? Okay. So somebody out here said usability. Actually, Rahul, sometimes innovativeness may not really work because the market may not be ready for that kind of a idea. So there has to be a process through which you filter the good ideas and you filter like what could be the more radical ideas, because these two different kinds of ideas require two different kinds of treatment. So the ones which are easily accepted by the market, that requires a different kind of treatment, and the more radical ones, they require a different kind of treatment. So what you said about innovative ideas, suppose, let's say somebody comes to you with an idea of utilizing the space dust to create jewelry. Now, it's a very innovative idea, and it's something which is creating a lot of money in the premium jewelry segment. But the student or the person who has come to you with that idea, has he or she got the background to work on that idea? Do they have space technology as their specialization? Do they have the money to work on that? So the first filtration that you should think about when you have ideas coming to you is the team. Okay. So we talked about the ideas. The idea itself should be first judged against the team. Whether the team has the ability to take that particular idea ahead or not. That should be your first criteria. So if you have any questions on this, do ask what I'm saying. And how will you judge the team is going to be my next part about it. But first, do you think that this is a good idea? That judging the idea by the team? What yes.
Because team plays a major role. How they execute the idea, that is very much important. Rather than selecting an idea, how efficiently it is executed, that is more matters.
Correct.
So, converting of space dust into using in the jewel. So the idea is innovative, but the thing is nothing but what is the financial thing that we need to invest in that particular idea, and and how it is process of converting a dust into a making of the jewels, and whether it is going to work out at the end.
Correct. So I have a presentation with me, but I'll share the presentation only at the end, because that kind of takes you through what I'll be talking to you in this entire 1.5 hour session. So the first thing is the team. See how many of the team members have got the ability to implement it, like Dr. Rahul said. So that's the first thing. Now, what else will you look in the team? So Rahul, I'm going to ask you to just give the others a chance. So anybody else in this entire class, in the team, besides the knowledge, what else will you test?
Compatibility, coordination.
Very good, Shaheen. Actually, we have seen so many ideas flounder because there was always arguments between the founders. And many good ideas which were there, actually, which could have made a lot of money, just did not work because the founders were not compatible. Initially, they started off, but then the whole thing broke out. A lot of things, I mean, they lost. So wonderful, Shaheen. So you have to first check the knowledge, the second, the compatibility. Anything else?
Working together.
So I'm going to ask the class, what do you think? I mean, just come back up with any answer that you think. There's no judgment out here. So anything that you think.
Teamwork, man. Working together. Teamwork.
Teamwork. So yeah, so what Shaheen said, that compatibility, how well are they able to merge together, work together? Anything else?
Execution.
Execution. So yes, execution, of course, is part of the whole thing. So compatibility is there, then, and the knowledge is there, then they will be able to execute it. But execution also brings up along with it a dimension of financials, right? The financial ability of whomsoever is part of the team. So do they have the money or the backing or the resources to take that idea that they have to its logical conclusion? Do they have the money to start the venture and keep it running for at least 1 or 2 years? Because anything, any idea that you turn into a business venture has to survive for at least 1 to 3 years. And many times, students don't have that kind of a backing. So what we do is, I mean, when students come to us, what we do is, we tell them, okay, apply for grants, one thing. If you're not able to get grants, then get a job. But get a job in the area that you're thinking of starting. So if somebody wants to start something in the area of textiles, we tell them to get a job in the sector of textiles. Why? Because India doesn't work without networks. So if you have the networks within that particular sector, you will know whom to reach out to or whom to approach when you start your own venture. So that's the third thing that we look at. Do they have the financial ability or not? If they don't, tell them to do that. Get a job. Start saving money for that 1.5 years or 2 years when there's nothing coming back from your venture. How are you going to survive? Because most startups fail because of this. Third, financial stability. What else do you think is required now from the team?
How well they're presenting their idea, man. How effectively presenting their idea.
The ability to communicate. Very correctly said. So this fourth, and again, one of the most important dimensions is how well are they able to tell the story? Because, you know, today the investors don't just look for an idea. They look for how well are you able to tell the story, because a story sells. And if you're able to convince the first level of angel investors to put money because they see your commitment, your story, the reason why you started, then yes. And for that, you need good communication. So these are the 4 things that we look at from the team. Fine. What next? So you have looked at the team. Now you need to look at the service or the product that they're thinking about, their idea that they're looking at. What will you do in that? What is the first filter that you think should be there for looking at a good idea vis-a-vis an idea which you would not like to take forward? So have you got the 4 ones that we talked about? When we look at it,
that idea should be make to make copyrights some kind of registration like IP patent. How I can say like once that idea and
yes, it's a good idea to have patents and copyrights. But Dr. Kumar,
yes,
I mean, the reality is that the Indian market is not that great when it comes to IPR protection. So unless you have a very innovative idea, very technology-based idea, something which is very niche, it doesn't make any sense to go in for IPRs. IPRs is a long journey. It takes around 2 to 3 years to get your IPR, to file it and then to get it checked. And then if you are going in for a global patent, then it takes even more time. And it takes a lot of money also. So
then it would be product market fit. I mean, whether the service or the product we are coming with is it needed by the market?
Very correct. So I think Shaheen is now on the perfect way to start her own venture. The product market fit is absolutely the first thing that you should look at. Whether the product is going to be really what is the demand of the market or not. There are very few products which create a demand. Now you think about Apple and other things, they created a demand. But otherwise, it's much more easier if the demand is already existing. So how do you go about doing it? How do you go about understanding whether that product market fitment is there or not? As faculty, I mean, the answer should come immediately to you, research.
Yes.
Right? That's the first thing that they should do, market research. And where will they do the market research? How will the students find out where to get the information for the product, which is already there? Or the idea that they're thinking about?
Surveys, ma'am.
They can go to? Surveys. See, surveys are expensive. I mean, if they try to do preliminary market research, it's going to be expensive. So as faculty, the first thing that you should think about is telling them to go in for secondary market research. So you will find a lot of journals, you will find a lot of reports which have been created by many of these consulting groups which are there. So look at Deloitte reports, look at BCG reports. So there are quite a few of them which talk about different products and different markets and all those things. So that you'll have to push your student entrepreneurs into the library or wherever they get this information. So nowadays they can just Google it and get most of the information. Some of the things they will get free. You may not get they may not get the latest report on it, but a year old, most of them they'll get it free. So that's the first thing that you have to do. So when they are doing market research, first they have to see whether the market is big enough for them to really get into it or not. Because a small market is not worth the effort. And if it's a small market, can it be duplicated across other countries? That's something that they need to do in market research. Okay. So market research, first thing, how big is the market? What you talk about, the total addressable market and all those jargons which are there, which I'm not going to get into. So how big is the market? Number one question. What else? When you talk about product fitment and market, what else would you look at? Where could the biggest challenge come from? Asking you to think. Where could the biggest challenge to an idea come from? No? Okay, now let me talk to you about drones. Huge market, lot of utilization. But when did the government come out with the drone policy? When did and how much has the government allowed the utilization of drones? thought about it? You cannot use drones everywhere. There is a limitation to it, that you have to fly at only this level. This is the size of a drone which you can use. Anything bigger than that has to be registered with the police. So if something goes wrong, the police can easily pick you up and put you into jail. So even something as good and like a drone, there are problems out there. So after looking at the market, the first thing that you need to check out is the government policies. How open is the government to that particular sector? You have to check both the national as well as the local policies, because all of you know that the state policies are sometimes quite different from the national policies. So a student or an entrepreneur thinking about their venture has to first of all check this out. What is the policy on this particular area? Second, can this be taken international? So think about it in steps. When you talk about the total market, is it just your regional market, or is it your national market, or is it something which can go international? That gives you the total addressable market. Over a period of time, maybe the students might think about taking it to a higher level. And along with that, what could be the next question that would come? So you have looked at the policies, you have looked at how big the market can be utilized. What is the next question that you should think about? You should think about, is this something that you can use right now, or is it something which is ahead of the curve? If it is ahead of the curve, you will have to create a market, which is more difficult than if it is something which is the need of the hour right now. So depending on the team's financial resources, whether they have the possibility of being able to sustain for that kind of time, that they're able to launch it when the time gets right, you have to find out the fitment. So within fitment itself, we have seen there are so many questions to it, right? So that is the second question. Now let me share my screen with you, and you will see how these questions that I have talked about fits into it. So anything that you want to ask me, let me stop for a second and see if you have any questions.
Ma'am, just now you said that, like, is it a regional market, national market, or international market? Do we need to assess in the beginning of the idea itself, or after starting it, we can go ahead with each and everything? Because
you can do it later on also, but you have to at least assess your regional and national market. Because if your market is not big enough, it doesn't make any sense to get into that particular sector itself. Because if you cannot grow, you will get stagnant, and after some stagnation, it will dive down. So you have to think, and you have to see how much you can keep growing. Okay, I'm just trying to put my anything else which comes from.
No.
Right. So I had talked about the idea to venture, and there's another thing which is called the value of death. I'll talk about it in a few minutes. So this is where we have the assessment of the idea with respect to the entrepreneur. We had talked about what is it going to take, why you. This is the question that you need to ask from the students or any of the people that you think about when you're taking them on board for your ESL. So what is it going to take? We had just discussed this. How much knowledge do they have? How much networks do they have? And then I had put in a few movie snippets, but then I thought we'll talk more rather than me just going through the presentation, because as faculty, I thought we might have a lot more questions, but do ask. The second thing that we talked about was the financial ability of that person or the student team which is there. How much financial assets do they have? How much of physical infrastructure can they put into that particular idea? What are the special strengths that they have? So all these things we have talked about. One of the things that we did not talk about was the weakness. So we talked about the strengths. And what Shaheen had said about the compatibility of the teams, that is where the weaknesses should overcome each other, right? So if somebody is good at finance, is the other person good at marketing? Because for any idea to become a successful venture needs both these things. So somebody who's good at finance and somebody who's good at marketing. Both these things are important. And we also usually tell the students who think about starting their own ventures that do not try to go solo. The reason being that if you try to go solo, not many investors would be willing to invest in you. The reason being that one founder, it's very difficult for them to handle a lot of things. So you need to have at least one more person. 2 to 3 is the normal team size that we look at when we think about getting in a good founding team, because they can then compensate for each other's weaknesses, right? So going on ahead. Stop me if you have any question, because all these are questions that as faculty you will have to put as filters when you are talking to your students and seeing that how many of their ideas can be validated. And one of the things that we have found is the interest and the value levels that the students bring in. So today they might think about going in for something in mushroom farming. Tomorrow they'll come back to you and say that we want to create something in say diamonds, or the day after tomorrow they'll come back and say we want to do something in books. This happens. So if you have students like that, you have to ask them to first of them stop. Which of these 3 ideas that you have, which of it does it really interest you? Are you willing to be with it like your marriage partner? I mean, divorces are a bit expensive in India. So how long will you be able to continue with this particular idea as you would do with a marriage partner? So somebody who will be living with you through and through. So an idea is going to be like that. It's not like girlfriends, right? Ideas are like marriage partners. So if you start with an idea, you have to make sure that you're going to see it through. Make sure that it grows and then like becomes successful. Girlfriends and boyfriends come and go, but marriage partners, not so easy. So that kind of things, you have to really make them think that how much does it really interest you? How much are they willing to stick it out? How much commitment are they willing to bring with you? In our incubation center, initially we made a lot of mistakes when we brought in people who showed a lot of passion, but the passion would be like zoom, like a rocket, and after that they have got finished. So to combat that, we put in programs which are zero equity, zero fees, just to understand the commitment and see how long they're willing to stick to a particular idea. People who stick with that particular idea and do the market research and then finally are ready to go ahead, they are the people with whom you should spend your time. So let me also share something with you. When we run this e-cell, and every year we get something around 80 to 100 students coming in for the e-cell. And everybody has got fantastic ideas. And I'm quite sure some of you might be facing the same things. How do you find out who are the people who are going to be around and stick with their idea? What do you do? Okay, as faculty, what would you do? You've got 100 people, 100 students lining up to your doors, or say even 50 students coming in, bothering you every day, saying that, sir, ma'am, we have this beautiful idea, I want to work on it. What would you do? So my question here to all the people, all the faculties out here, what would you do if you have so many students coming up to you? So Shaheen, what would you do? Okay, so anybody else who wants to comment on what would they do if they had like this many students coming in and saying, we have ideas, what next? No? Are you facing this kind of problems, or are you facing that you have to push your students into getting ideas?
You have to push, madam.
You have to push them.
Otherwise, yeah.
Okay. So it's the other problem that we have.
Yes.
So that is the problem that we faced in the initial phases. Like when we are trying to get students interested in entrepreneurship. So at that time, students and their parents also would be like, we want our students to get only good jobs. We are not interested in entrepreneurship. So how do you get students interested in that particular space? Is this the problem with many of you? Because then I'll go it from that particular angle. So if you're facing that kind of problem, please let me know. But then I'll
Actually, ma'am, recently we have, not recently, 1 or 2 years from now, 1 or 2 years onwards, we are connected with Atal Incubation Center. So we are in that process. So we are conducting some competitions, ideathon or something like that. So still so many, very less responses. But of course, we are on the way to make this possible, ma'am. In future.
Yes. So, there are different methods that you can use, because we have also gone through that problem. Initial phases when students were there. So it was very difficult to get them interested. It's only later on when they saw that how this can be worked out, how they can get a lot of help from the center, that the other problem came up, where you had the problem of plenty. So initial phases, yes, like what you said, Manikanta, I guess that's there. How do you get the students interested? But to this particular group that it's there, I want to understand your challenges, because then I'll be able to give you the solutions to that, rather than just keep talking about the other thing. So again, my question to you is, which problem are you facing? Getting the students, or a problem of plenty?
No, ma'am. Students are very much interested, because lack of, awareness programs on entrepreneurship, and still people think become an entrepreneur is next level thing. So getting a job is very, comfort and easy. So nowadays software boom is going on. So even second year people also started training with some courses are like that. But some people are very, very interested. If we to give some guidance or conduct some like programs, so they are very much interested, and I hope it will change.
Right. So I think
yes. So I'm a fellow here. I'm also an entrepreneur. So I had an opportunity to interact with the students and conduct some programs for women and entrepreneurship for students. The major problem that we have observed is, the first thing is their psyche, their mentality towards going to the jobs. And the second problem, even they wanted to, but their parents are not allowed to take up this career in entrepreneurship, because they feel this is something very risky, and the job is very easier to go with. And that's how, even though they got with some excellent ideas, but they got dropped out in between because of the lack of support from the parents. So what we have started is, we have also started to counsel them before taking this cohort, student cohort for the entrepreneurship. So this is the problems that we are facing right now with respect to entrepreneurship for students.
Okay. Right. And I think we had Dr. Kumar, Dr. Ananda Kumar. I think you also wanted to say something. Dr. Eriki Ananda Kumar from Vemu.
Yeah.
So did you have any question?
I think no.
Okay, fine. So yeah. So both these things that we talked about. So Manikanta was talking about, like, how you have some very good students who are there, but the psyche, like what Shaheen also said about, you have to create that social, the thought process of change, saying that entrepreneurship is risky, yes, but then it's also something which can give you a lot of returns. So how do you make the people understand? See, just like you drive a car, you don't just pick up a car and start driving. If you do that, you're going to have accidents. Similarly, students have to be trained on how to go through the process of entrepreneurship. It's easy to have an idea, but how to make it a successful venture is what needs to be trained to the students. And the similar kind of things we did here, because once the alumni start coming back. You know what we did also initial phases, what we told our alumni that if you don't have the resources, if you don't have the training for it, don't start a venture. Because a failure just is not a simple failure. It means loss of money for you, loss of face for you, loss of social esteem for your parents. So these are things you should not play around with. So get trained. So as you're in your job, start putting aside that buffer money for your venture. Start creating the networks. They did training programs with us. So they would attend Saturday, Sunday, or maybe online or something like that. They would get trained for it. Like, how do you make sure that the things are going right? So we usually used to have sessions for them with the investors. We would have sessions with them with our legal teams. We would have sessions with our finance faculties. So how do you make sure that your venture succeeds? And once these people, our alumni, started creating their own ventures, then it's easy to convince the students who were there at that point of time. See, this is how the whole thing goes. And then the alumni would talk about it because they have gone through the process. So that's how you build up the entire system. Do not push them without having the training. I mean, you cannot, just like swimming or driving or anything, you need to have the training to become a successful venture. And in India, most student ventures fail because of this, because they don't have the proper training to take their ventures to that next level. And that's where we as faculty really need to work on, right? Because if we understand what are the things that the students need, then of course they will also succeed. And if they succeed, you succeed. Right?
Ma'am,
yes.
Ma'am, I have a point here. The thing is here, whether to go for a startup at the initial stage of the completion of the BTech or to go with after 2 to 3 years of job is what you have specified, to create some income for them and later to go into startup environment. So if that is the case, so what is the support an engineering college should provide to the students, whether it has to provide some support to the alumni students or to the current pursuing students? And whenever we see these particular scenario, majorly parents, whoever it is, they are concerned with the short-term goals. So immediately after the BTech, whether their son or daughter is into some job and they are in a good commandable position. So if there is a startup that succeeds maybe after 1 year or 2 years, but if it is a success, then that is an incompatible with a job. But how to create this awareness among the students?
Right. So you have asked me 4 questions. I'm going to pick them one at a time. So the first thing that you asked me, So the first thing that you asked me is like, should we counsel the students to start their venture right off, or should they go in for after 2-3 years of work? So again, going back to my initial questions, which talked about the financial ability of the team which is there, and also about the team themselves. So if they are first generation entrepreneurs, that means nobody else in their family has ever started a venture, then it's always better to see how good is their financial ability. Do they come from a rich background? Do they have the ability to sustain over like 2-3 years, even if there is no money coming in from the venture? In such a situation, you can suggest that, okay, you start your venture right off. But if they are not second generation or third generation entrepreneurs, that means they don't have family businesses, but are first generation entrepreneurs, and they do not have the financial backing, then the method is to tell them to start a job, right? But like I said in the initial phases also, get a job in the area that they are thinking about starting their own venture. Because one, by saving from their salaries, they can have that buffer amount with them. Second, they will have the networks. And quite possibly, they can pick up mentors also from that particular field. So networks, money, as well as mentoring, if they go in for that. And as an engineering college, what I'll suggest is give your resources to your alumni also, because they will then become your best ambassadors. If you're able to showcase that, yes, these people did this, they came back, and now they are working along with us on these particular things. These alumni will be your brand ambassadors in changing the mindset of not only the parents, but also of your present students. Because it has to be a subtle shift in mindset. You cannot just pressurize everything. Have I answered your question, Rahul? Dr. Rahul?
Yes, ma'am. What is the kind of support we can give to the alumni for entrepreneurial activities? So what kind of support? Like we can arrange some awareness programs for alumni. So, or so we can give some what we can say in some other format. Is there any other such format where we can give the support?
Okay, so let me put it like this. As an engineering college, the best support that you can give to your alumni is access to your labs. And secondly, if you think that their business plan, their business model is correct, then even the institute can invest in them, right?
Okay.
So you can do a lot of guest lectures, of course, wherein you can get an experts who talk about legal, who can talk about like how to start your venture, what kind of entity should they go in for, a proprietorship, should they go in for a Section 8, what kind of entity should they create? So based on what their idea is, not necessarily that everything should be a commercial venture, it can also be a social venture. So based on that, they can think about going and creating their entity. So all these inputs, that information, the knowledge information, so all these things help. And along with, like I said, the access to the labs, plus if your organization allows it, maybe they can also think about picking up equity, because entrepreneurship is a long-term game. So if your organization is willing to wait 10 years to get like 10x returns, nothing better. And sometimes they can also give 20x returns. So that's how it works, right? So, Shaheen?
Yes, ma'am.
It's going to be 4:30. It's very soon.
Yes. I was yet to remind you, but like you remembered, no problem.
Yeah, so we have a few more minutes. So going ahead with what I was talking about. So these are the things that you need to put into place. Because entrepreneurship is a risky business. Let's understand that. I mean, the government is pushing it a lot, but even with grants given to them at the first instance, the students should know what to do with the grants. There have been instances where we have seen ventures getting a lot of money from the investors, but they don't know how to deploy it, and they run through it. I mean, they use the money in a lot of things, in say putting in advertisements in the TV, and I mean showcasing themselves and all those things, which is not going to help the venture per se. So deployment of the money itself is again something that the students should understand, and that comes only through financial diligence. So teaching them how to do that, all these things are part and parcel of becoming an entrepreneur. And as faculty members, as educational institutions, this is what we should give to them so that they don't flop and fail, right? So we want them to succeed and grow. That's where the difference comes in. Yes.
Madam, the last question, how to attract the students towards entrepreneurship?
How to excite students towards entrepreneurship?
Or attract them towards this career?
See, the thing is, first of all, you need to bring in young student entrepreneurs to the campus, people who have become successful. Don't bring in old entrepreneurs. Don't bring in middle-aged entrepreneurs. Bring in young and successful entrepreneurs, because the connect has to be there, right? If you bring in old ones or the middle-aged ones, the thing is they'll think, yeah, geez, this guy has done it and it's taken him a long time. No.
Okay.
You have to bring in the young ones. And once you had a question?
Yeah, ma'am. Actually, generally we find the entrepreneurship related lectures from experienced persons.
The best thing about this whole pandemic is that now it is no longer restricted to your geographical region. So you can just scan across. There are so many unicorns. I will not call unicorns. I mean, although we have a lot of number of unicorns, but if you look at the list of unicorns, I mean, the ones which are growing very fast, or gazelles, those who have grown very rapidly and are getting a lot of investments. So if you go through that, I mean, there are a lot of websites which give information like which are the your story, as simple as that. So you can come to know many ventures who are like really coming up. So get those people to talk, right? And you can arrange a live session like this.
Yes, ma'am.
And if you need any help, reach out to Mr. Anil. He can help you in getting in touch with a few of these people who can talk. Right?
Okay.
Yeah. So 3 minutes left. Any questions from any of the others? And I hope it has been a learning session wherein like some of your questions have been answered. But I know it's challenging. It's really challenging. Yes, Padma? Okay. So, I mean, let me tell you, 15 years ago, when I started in this particular space of entrepreneurship education, the parents used to come and ask me, have you gone crazy? I mean, as simple as that. Why are you like making my child think about businesses? We have never done business in our life. Why do you want to do all this stuff with our children only? So right from there to today, when we actually have to stop people from coming on board because we get something like 200 plus applications for 20 seats. So to that level, and we also have something like, how much is it? 76% survival rate, nearly 80% survival rate. So
yes, ma'am,
you talk about 76, right? So everybody talks about 8 out of 10 startups failing. We talk about 8 out of 10 startups surviving and succeeding. That's the difference. So, but then yes, it's been a long journey. So thank you so much. And thank you, Shaheen and AICSKU for inviting me. It's been great talking to you. And like I said, Anil has put his number out here and also his email ID. So anytime you have any questions, do reach out, and wishing you all the best. Over to you, Shaheen.
Yes, thank you so much, ma'am. It is very much delighted to have you today, and it's very exciting session. Discussing the things on the spot, and we never had this. I mean, our participants never had this kind of experience in the previous sessions. So it's really nice to have you, and I would like to invite you and Anil sir on behalf of AICSKU to please come and visit our Atal Incubation Center at SK University, because I love to meet you in person. So thank you so much for giving a lot of insights about ideation and how to generate idea and market research and everything. Thank you so much, ma'am. And we are really looking forward to have more such kind of sessions with you.
Thank you, Shahid. And just as a parting remark, we have just recently started this program called the Incubator Development Program. So if any of you people are running incubators and you need any help in that, do reach out to us. I mean, we are more than happy to help in all these things. And e-cells also, how to create e-cells, that's another program that we run. How to generate e-cells, how to create that kind of pipelines and all those things, right? So Anil has given these things, and so thank you all, and all the best.
Thank you so much.